Hey everyone, welcome to week 12 of class. This is our last week in module 4. So looking at the social aspects of addiction. So this video, we are going to talk more about what we're getting into this week. So let's scroll down here. So for week 12, we are in chapters 12 and 13 of our text. So we're actually wrapping up our textbook this week, which is pretty rad. So I'll talk more about those topics in a bit more detail. And then because this is the final week of our module, we have both a discussion forum and an exam this week. So let's talk a little more about our content for this week. Our learning objectives this week, we have several because we're in a couple of chapters. So in chapter 12, as we're looking at gender, sexual, and sexual orientation differences, we are looking to introduce the idea of gender as a social concept that influences a person's ability to resist addiction, seek and find treatment, and maintain recovery. We will discuss gender and sexual differences in the prevalence of types of addiction, partner relationships, parenting, crime and punishment, violence and trauma, and psychological and biological differences. And we are going to explore the implications of gender and sexual differences on addiction treatment. And then in our public policy chapter, we are going to, by the end of it, look to be able to describe the contemporary social context of public policy that impacts addiction and treatment of the individuals in need of it. To delineate professional concerns around laws, ethics, systems of payment, and managed care. And we're going to spend module 5 looking more in detail at professional responsibilities and ethics. We will be able to provide examples of public policies that lead to social injustices, particularly for the poor, minority, and persons with substance use disorders. To show the impact of the drug conspiracy laws on women and their children, to describe the current state of major harm reduction efforts in the United States, such as methadone maintenance, needle exchange, and use of naloxone to save lives from opioid overdose. We're exploring the advantages and disadvantages of the legalization of marijuana, a trend that is fast gaining traction. So state by state, marijuana is becoming legalized. But another big thing that's happening is that President Biden has called for a reclassification of marijuana. Right now it's a schedule. Oh, I always get them backwards. I believe it's, it's scheduled the same as heroin, and he's calling for that to change. He's also calling for a pardon on, or a dismissal of federal, of people who have federal criminal records related to marijuana possession. And he's asking states to follow suit as well. So people who have state charges, he's asking the states to do the same thing. So I think it's going to be really interesting in the next couple of years to see how this is all shaking out and who it's shaking out for. And then lastly, to show the need for further research, funding, and public policies related to gambling problems and treatment. So one of the things about gambling is that, sure, you could get treatment for it, but places don't actually or most insurance companies don't actually reimburse for the diagnosis. So you might want treatment for it, but maybe you can't access it. There's all sorts of problems with treatment for gambling disorders. So it's an interesting dilemma. So those are kind of overarching learning objectives for this week. I don't have tons of supplemental material for you this week, but I do have a couple of articles here. So read your textbook, chapter 12 and 13. Read these 2 articles, Intersecting Identities and Substance Use Problems and Toward Greater Understanding. So those are really going to be mostly focusing on chapter 12, as well as there's this really great NADAC webinar, Understanding SUD Disparities Among LGBTQIA People. And that's spelled wrong. I'm going to need to fix that. So check out that webinar. And then our next steps, I'll do a separate video for the assignments. But again, just a recap of this week, we're finishing module 4, reading the course material that I just reviewed. You're participating in the discussion forum and taking the module 4 exam. So be sure to do those. I'll do a separate video to talk about the assignments. And then next week, we're switching over to our final module, module 5, looking at ethical considerations and competencies for LACs. So thanks for checking out this video. Get started getting through that content. As always, head on over to that homepage, post questions if you've got them. And I'm looking forward to answering your questions and seeing how I can support your learning this week.